Before we get started, here are my quick thoughts on all the Marvel stuff that came out last week. I was a little underwhelmed with the Doomsday trailer, but I'm still excited for it. If for nothing else, I'm just excited to see all these different characters that have never interacted with each other interact with each other. Ryan Gosling cast as Ghost Rider in the MCU is some bold casting, and I can't wait to see how it works out. If for nothing else, I'm just excited to see Ghost Rider within a movie or show, whatever the case is. I'm just excited to see Ghost Rider again because he is one of my favorite characters and he's one of my favorite character designs. Fuck yes. Now that all that is out the way, let's hear for what I'm really here to talk about today.
Lassiter Factor.
Happy Spider-Man week, all my movie-loving maniacs. This is your boy Bangful B of the Lassiter Factor, and I am concluding my monthly deep dive of live-action Spider-Man movies with Spider-Man No Way Home, which is the third Tom Holland movie within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so let's get into it. So Spider-Man No Way Home takes place directly after Spider-Man Far From Home, in which Mysterio reveals to the world that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. He is framed for Mysterio's murder. Luckily, that gets settled out of court, but there's still the court of public opinion, and so he goes to Doctor Strange to erase the world's memory of him being Spider-Man because it's affecting him, his family, and his friends. But he still wants anyone close to him to still remember that he is Spider-Man, and so that messes the spell up, and then other Spider-Man and Spider-Man's villains from other universes come into the mainline Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, you don't need me to tell you how big this movie was. It came out in 2021. This was my most anticipated movie of that particular year, and it did not disappoint. It still is one of my favorite films of that year, and rewatching it almost 4 years later, I fucking love this movie. Now, granted, as a movie, yes, it's not perfect, and a lot of people would say that this movie, especially looking back on it, now that we're 4 years removed from it, that it's just a nostalgia fest. It's basically fan service, and in truth, you're not wrong, but at the same time, it's a goddamn good fan service and nostalgia bait type movie. And the cool thing about this movie is that it basically uses all that to tell the story for Tom Holland's version of Peter Parker. Plus, I've always said, if Into the Spider-Verse is a celebration of Spider-Man, No Way Home is a celebration of Spider-Man in cinema. I just love the way this movie moves. It opens up directly after the events of Far From Home, in which Peter Parker is trying to get away from the press and everybody because everybody knows that he's Peter Parker. Then he's dealing with that, and then he tries to go back to school. Everybody's being all weird about it, and then his friends, they can't get into a good college because of their affiliation with Spider-Man, and so they go to Doctor Strange. And yes, looking back on it now, this was a little stupid. Like, yeah, they used Doctor Strange to basically wipe everyone's memory of him being Spider-Man, and the way they did it, it was just a little hokey. And then on top of that, how Peter Parker didn't think to go contact the lady from MIT first before they asked Doctor Strange to brainwash the entire world. Yeah, it is a little hokey, but everything else after that was just pure cinema. At least to me it was. And another thing about me saying I just love how this movie moves is that the majority of this movie is, as far as the fan service and nostalgia bait goes, the majority of this movie is spent on the villains, and then it's not until the very third act of the movie that's when we get to Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. They were saving the best for the last. They came in just at the right moment when Peter Parker is suffering, and that's the thing I love about this movie. To me, this is the best movie that they've utilized this version of Spider-Man since Civil War, at least in my opinion, because it's the first movie that we get to see Tom Holland's Peter Parker Spider-Man suffer. To me, that third act, when Norman Osborn, he shifts back into the Green Goblin and then reveals his true intentions, and then, spoiler alert, Aunt May dies, but not before she gives the famous "with great power comes great responsibility" speech. To me, it's when this happens. To me, that's when the tone of the movie shifts. It's when everything within the Marvel Cinematic Universe just takes a backseat to just tell a Spider-Man story. This is the Spider-Man we was trying to get to all along, and even by the end, he is the Spider-Man we all know and love. We see him suffer in this movie. He loses everything. They do use the spell, but then that means that everyone would pretty much forget about Peter Parker. Even MJ, Ned, all his friends and loved ones would not know who Peter Parker is, and so now he's completely all alone. Which to me, that is a bold move for a Spider-Man movie. and it was definitely needed for this version of Spider-Man within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now, I like Doctor Strange in the movie, but I wasn't really the hugest fan of his fight with Spider-Man when they're in the mirror dimension. I love seeing Sandman and Lizard again, but let's be honest, they were the red shirts. They were the CGI characters that no one really cared about, and they just brought those actors back just to do voiceover work for these characters. I like that they did a complete 180 with Electro, but let's just be honest, it was just Jamie Foxx being Jamie Foxx, but it was still fun. They finally did this villain right, at least in this movie. Hello, Peter. It was great to see my boy Alfred Molina return as Doc Ock from the best Spider-Man movie. But the true MVP in terms of villains within this movie was Willem Dafoe returning as the Green Goblin. You can tell he was just happy to be there. He was having fun. He was just happy to revisit this character and portray him in a way that he wasn't able to before, because he's not wearing the fucking Green Goblin mask, which I don't have an issue with, but you can see how expressive he is without that mask. He felt like he was just right at home. He's like he just picked up where he left off. Now for the other Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield. I love that they gave him this moment of redemption of saving MJ, because it couldn't save Gwen in this moment. And even if I don't like his movies, I always thought Andrew Garfield was the best actor among the three Spider-Man, and he acted his ass off within this particular movie. I just love that Kevin Feige, he got his hands on this version of the character, and he did right by this boy. But we gotta talk about my GOAT, Tobey motherfucking Bully Maguire. It's the motherfucking king. Tobey Maguire, he was always my Spider-Man. I don't think he's the best Spider-Man, but I do think he's the best Peter Parker. But he's the most nostalgic Spider-Man to me. I love the Raimi trilogy, and even if they didn't do but so much with him, I just love seeing him here as a mentor figure, because he is the oldest among the three of them right here. And I just love every moment. I just love seeing all three. Matter of fact, generally speaking, I just love seeing these three Spider-Man interact with each other. When they do, they comfort him after Aunt May dies, and then they relate their different stories of grief, and then we see them science it up and then kind of shoot the shit on the Statue of Liberty and talk about their individual experiences as Spider-Man, and they all come together to save the day. God, I just love that. There's so much about this movie that I can gush about, but of course I have to talk about the things that I either kind of didn't like or just things that I'm split on, and I already addressed some of them. I just didn't like the setup with the spell, and which basically kicked off the plot and story of this movie. You got the two red shirt villains, Lizard and the Sandman, and watching this movie from a filmmaking level, I can clearly see even 4 years later, yeah, this is clearly a product of the pandemic. Just from the production, you can tell just from certain scenes, someone's in front of a green screen, particularly Flash. You can tell he's clearly not there, and then there's almost no extras within certain scenes. You can tell that they were trying to have just as little people as possible within certain scenes because, social distancing. But other than that, yeah, I still think this is the best of the Tom Holland trilogy. It may not be the best movie, but I still think it is an effective story. If for nothing else, I think we should all take a moment to thank Kevin Feige for giving Tobey and Andrew something that we, the fans, thought that they would never get.
Another chance.
I'm not going to give it my highest rating for all the negative things I had to say about this movie, but I enthusiastically give it the hard eyes emoji. Thank y'all so much for watching. Have you seen, well, I ain't gonna ask, have you seen it? Odds are you probably have seen it. I'm just gonna ask, what's your favorite moment from this movie? Leave your answer in the comments section below. This your boy, Bankful B of the Lassiter Factor. Stay safe, wash your hands, peace.